There you go. All right. Well, hi, everybody. It's Judy Matejczak. Another Transformation Tuesday. Isn't that awesome? And Judy Matejczak, world class paradigm shifter, where, we shift and uplift the planet one person, one condition at a time. The person to uplift at any given moment is ourselves. So, who are paradigm shifters? We're dedicated community. I was going to say crazy, but sometimes people think we're crazy because we believe that this planet, everyone on the planet, is in a shift, paradigm shift at any given moment. So we've been going straight every Tuesday since March 2020.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? And before we start, and I'll introduce Donusia, our old friend. Not old, a previous guest on
Can
our
be old.
show with new content to correct for us. So I want to read this. Let's take a deep breath in here. And go fully centered into July 30th, 2024. And the word for today is appreciation.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Practicing appreciation prepares me to receive more and more divine blessings. When I understand that what I appreciates, the importance of being thankful takes on added meaning. Appreciation is a powerful spiritual tool, a way of affirming my prosperity and opening myself to receive even more. Appreciation centers my attention on God and away from what might be lacking materially in my life. As I practice appreciation, my awareness of my blessings grows, directing my attention toward all the good things I have. At the level of spirit, I have everything I need. As I pray, I touch the peace and perfection of the divine and claim the gifts of spirit that fill my consciousness and become my life.
Mm.
So, again, the affirmation for today and this final Transformation Tuesday of July 2024. Practicing appreciation prepares me to receive more and more divine blessings. So
Mm.
every month we have a topic. And this month's topic has been allowing allowing the awesomeness. Sometimes in the curriculum that's being presented in our lives. So I'm going to bring on, first of all, let me tell you about Donusia. Donusia Lipinski.
Yay.
I can say that we are sister Polish people and also Wisconsinites. So Donusia Lipinski, I have to say that because it's important, is a life empowerment coach at Grace and Ease Life Coaching. I love it. I remember when you came up with that name. Now, I was talking to somebody about you earlier today, about your past, and she said, "Ooh, I want to hear you." Donusia is a former associate director of advocacy, family, and due process at American Immigration Lawyers. A former associate director of advocacy on family due process at American Immigration. Former CEO and attorney at Lipinski and Associates. Former immigration lawyer at law offices of Donusia Lipinski. You studied Spanish in Minnesota and went to Thorpe High School. Studied at Golden Gate University. And I love this about Donusia. She loves her cat, Jeremiah.
I have two cats.
Oh, she loves both cats.
Edwina would be very upset if you didn't include her. So just to be clear.
Okay. Oh God. Oh, don't want to upset the cats. So anyway, it's that who always has her back. So we are talking a little bit. We were about this content of our lives is the curriculum of our unfoldment. So I would love to have you come in, Donusia, talk, if you could, talk a little bit about, you know, content, where it's showing up. Oh, one other thing I wanted to, before we get super going here, is your mantra of each day is a blessing, each morning a gift, remembering that everyone dies, but not everyone lives. And I know there was content around that too. So, yeah, come on in here.
Well, first of all, Judy, such a pleasure to be with you again. And thank you for all of your support over the years. You've helped me grow. And I just really want to recommend anybody who is feeling stuck and needs somebody to kick them, not to kick them, but help them to move forward. We'll be nice here. No, but really, but just like calling it what it is and not letting people resist. I know that I had some resistance, but I think when I look at the content of my life at this moment, this work as a transformational life coach it's the journey, right? It's the journey of what we go through. It's a transformation. When I go back and I look at where I was in my 20s, I was an auto worker. I built Ford trucks, but that woke my advocate's heart up because they used to time me when I went to the bathroom because I got involved in the union and in workers' rights. I didn't join Ford Motor Company to do that work, but it woke me up. And that is what really was the kickoff for me to go to law school, was after I was laid off from Ford Motor Company. But I had polyps on my throat. Couldn't open my hands sometimes. I had kerosene burns on my legs. And if you look at the content of my life, it took me 3 universities before I finally graduated from and got my degree with distinction from the University of Minnesota. But all of that stuff that happened then, that was my content then, Judy. And for so long, for so many years, I thought I was so indecisive. Like, what in the world was going on with me? And wondering, like, why did it take me so long to make a decision as to what I wanted? Why didn't I have the clarity? I remember writing letters to my brother saying, well, I think now I think I'm going to know what I want to do pretty soon. But it took living in Mexico, it took working at Ford Motor Company, which was a blessing. That time of my life was difficult because of the way what I was beginning to see. And I didn't join that company again to become an advocate, right? But when we ended up suing Ford Motor Company and the union because they weren't doing what the union wasn't protecting us. And the company was, I mean, I was threatened. So anyway, all of that, again, it took me so long to finally get my teaching degree, went back to Mexico. I taught for a half a year, came back, and I was done teaching. I knew that I wasn't meant to be a teacher at that time. But that was like a period of for 10 years before I finally I was 29 when I finally went to law school, right? So, but all of that, when I look back on it, because of the work that we do as transformational life coaches, Judy, I began to look at it and seeing that that was the content of my life that is the evolution, or is the curriculum actually of my evolution. I'm here now. And I could not have the courage to have left my immigration law practice for 37, 38 years, like the identity that I had, Judy, as an immigration lawyer for that length of time. And then transitioning out of that from 2 years ago to becoming a life coach. Like, who am I to be a life coach? Again, the content of my life is the curriculum of my evolution. But I've known for a long, long time that there was another calling on my life. I've known it since 2000, I would say generally 2003, 2002. I knew that I was not going to retire as an immigration lawyer. I was just going to wait for Colin, my beautiful 16-year-old son, to graduate from high school. But instead, he graduated from life. And in going through some of the content that I have in my life right now, which is that basically I'm out of my house because we've had water damage from the rain. I was looking at some of the stuff that Colin, just looking back, some of the letters that I got. This little 5-year-old wrote a letter to me. Her father was a firefighter who was actually at the accident where Colin was. And she drew this beautiful little picture. But all of that, it's like the gifts that are there. And Colin's mantra, what all of his friends knew, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Death is more universal than life. So that has been a reminder, like reminding me not to be stagnant, that we're here to grow. And so again, all of those experiences, the loss, all the losses that I had within a 6-month period of my marriage ended, my son, my dad died 6 weeks later. I closed my law practice because I had to go through the trial of the woman whose car hit Colin. All of his friends support, like all of that stuff is a gift. Judy, I was headed in the wrong. I mean, I was so passionate about what I was doing. I could like not do it. But I felt such guilt after Colin died. Like, why didn't I spend more time with him? Why didn't I do blah, 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 blah? Was I good enough mother? Could I have prevented the accident? And all of that stuff. Because Colin was actually going to meet me in Denver when he was hit. So a lot of forgiveness work, and the forgiveness work, it's not only of all the other people that were involved in, well, the woman that killed Colin and all of that, but it's like the forgiveness of myself, right? So that's such huge work. So the content of my life truly has been the curriculum of my evolution. I would not be, and when I got this, Judy, I would not be the woman that I am today. I would not have the courage to be on camera, on video with you. If I actually, Judy, I'm gonna just do a little interrupt here. But for Judy pushed me to be on camera, like when we were working together. And I had to get over all the concern that we have. Like, what are people going to think? What if I don't have the words to say? What if I look stupid? Like all of that stuff, all the self-judgment, right? The people pleasing part of us. But the biggest lesson I got in the curriculum of my evolution is to be kinder, to be more compassionate, and to have less tolerance for BS. And just to be grateful
Oh
for
yeah.
all the lessons that I learned from my Colin and from all the people in my life, my relationship with my former spouse. You
One of
know,
the things I just to put a little, a pause right here, what that you said, and having known you through that, the courage it takes to tell your story about Colin. It's because, well, not because, but at the same time I was coaching in women who had lost their sons at the very beginning parts of it. And um, I don't have that story, but you do. And it's like, okay, that's why I guess you could say I push you. I don't want to say push you, but encourage you
no,
strongly.
but you supported me.
Yeah, and like and it doesn't matter what you look like. It's how your heart touches another human being that's going through their content, and you're not sugarcoating it. And that's the only way I feel to heal. And so I wanted to ask you a question about like this that you said too. I'm taking notes as well.
I saw you.
It's like, oh, that's a gold nugget. Oh, that's another gold nugget here. Because I know my community here. I know this, not my community, the paradigm shifters. I know content's going on with many, many people right now. Of course, they have been up until now. Of course, we're always in content. And I'm getting this feeling about, and the people that I coach, there's this identity. You said you put your identity in here. And then when the identity gets shook, then what's left? So if you could, if you don't mind, go back into that, where you were identified maybe as a snapshot, and what it felt like to be in another identity that you did not even call in. Does that make sense?
Well, there were a lot of identities, right? that were called in. I mean, the identity from being like, who was I? I was an auto worker to go to law school. That was one identity. And my lack of confidence in who I was and in my ability to do it. Like, I was the middle of 7 children, my son. Like, who was I to go to law school? And for a long time, Judy, for a long time, I felt like a wallflower, like who was I to speak up? But then I'll never forget the moment that changed. And I remember the vision that I had that someday people would look at me as a leader. And maybe someday I would like be at one of, because I became very actively involved in our association of immigration lawyers, that maybe someday they would like applaud, like maybe they would give me a standing ovation for something. I had that vision, and because I was like, you know what? I was in a cocoon. I love that. I love butterflies, but I realized that the emergence in law school of from feeling like a wallflower that needs, like not having what it takes to be out there, like seeing the emergence of that. And then I finally came out of from the caterpillar. I started coming out of my cocoon. And so I did that beautiful work. And after Colin died, I then had another identity as the mom who lost her son, and who would want to, for me, it was like, who would want to be around a sad Donusia, right? So it was like the Lone Ranger, like people would only like me and want to be around me if I was happy. I didn't understand then, as I do now, or as I came to understand, the importance of people wanting to do something, even they don't know what it is that they can do. And I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. Right. And so I'm so sorry. It's like, and I think that I was a reminder for people of how fragile life is, because from the outside, it looked as though everything was great. Right. It looked like I was a lawyer. I had 2 beautiful boys. I thought that people didn't know all the issues that were going on in our relationship. But the thing that woke me up after with Collins leaving, and the gift that he actually saved my life. Because Judy, I was so involved in what I was doing to not feel the pain of what I was feeling in my relationship. I was drinking too much. I was isolating. I was, and the dependence on alcohol to like not deal with what I had to deal with. And my former spouse had also, I mean, he was a functional alcoholic, but he was. And then the identity from being a lawyer to a life coach, although that had been, I mean, I had been working on this since 2014, well, actually for over 22 years, but even then, and then not even realizing that there was an identity that there was an identity that I had to like get used to, that I wasn't no longer an immigration lawyer, and feeling some guilt that I was no longer serving immigrants.
Ooh, I would love to hear about that moment of decision. Because what you were saying earlier is about this indecisiveness. Remember
Oh
that
my
you
goodness.
started out. And so apparently you
Mm.
became a decision maker. And when I know you, Tanusha, when you make a decision, you're like, boom, I'm doing this damn thing.
Like the song like the song we were playing when I first saw you earlier today. Yeah, just do it. Right. So, and those moments of clarity, like going to law school, like nobody could have talked me out of it. Like intuition. Paul Simon says intuition is easy as fishing. It's just as easy. Paul Simon said that. I love that. Anyway, but following the intuition, like when nobody could talk me out of it, there have been so many moments that I can look back on my journey, my path of life, my road, like where I just knew, like I knew, like I knew. I knew the moment that it was time for me to leave lawyering, when I was working with a couple on Zoom. Back, we were doing things on Zoom because of COVID, and I knew that I could help them, but I knew that my heart wasn't into into doing the work that I knew that I would have to do in order to serve them well. Now, I had been already talking to another lawyer, and I knew that my time was coming, but it was that moment I thought, so the clarity, I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but the decision and the knowing that this was the way. Oh, Mary Morrissey, Brave Thinking Institute. I came into the first time that I listened to Mary Morrissey kicking. Like, I didn't really know. I mean, like, right? I mean, I had worked with Brendan Richard, and I had worked with Lisa Nichols, and I had worked with Raymond Grace. Like, I had worked with a lot of different people, Bob Proctor a little bit. And then one of the people that I had talked to said, listen, I think they gave me the gifts, the spiritual gifts of money or something. Anyway, so I listened to this is back until 2020. I did my first Dream Builder live. That was the beginning. I signed up for everything, platinum,
I know.
life coaching. Like, I went all in. And this is, I think, for anybody who's on the cusp of making a decision, I didn't know how it was going to work. I didn't know how my investment has been equivalent to like a PhD. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I just knew that I had to do it.
So let me go back and this is all fresh in my mind because I'm working with someone who's like at that fear of, oh, okay, well, I've always been a person who follows, but she knows, I know as well, but I can't tell anybody that she is meant to be a leader. That decision to be a leader, and whatever that word or whatever it is, and that we're all, for me still, it's like, okay, well, it's easier to stay in a box
Mm.
and do what everybody else is doing. And and like, but if I break out of the box, nobody's gonna like me.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah, and so um I was just teaching, like, decision means to cut away from everything that is not you. So there was that time in your life, many times, and going back to that decision means to cut away from people sometimes, places, things. You're in content right now. You're not living in your home.
Oh,
And you made a decision to I want to talk about your current content.
oh my goodness.
You're not sitting in your home right now because of content.
That's right.
Yeah, tell us about it. How's that feel?
Well, I have a lot more empathy for people who are going through unexpected events at their home, right? So a week ago Saturday, and it's a longer story, but I'll just say that a week ago Saturday, we discovered that there was a bulge in the ceiling in the dining area of our home, and that there had been water in my office under the bookcase. My beautiful office, all my beautiful books, but no books were damaged, but saw the water under my bookcase. And then we go around the other side and we see this big bulge. Interestingly enough, Judy, I took a picture of it. The bulge was a bulge. They were it had like two cat ears. No kidding. So anyway, so we were going to go out and we were going to do something that afternoon, but we decided we better stay home, and we put some like protective stuff on the new bamboo flooring that I had just put in. And I'm talking on the phone to Stuart's brother-in-law, and all of a sudden I hear this crash. And I said, oh no, oh no. And I run around, and there is a good chunk of the ceiling down, not only on the tarp that we put to protect the floor, but spread out, plaster, insulation, wet, damp. It fell apart. So anyway, and so anybody who has squirrels, the squirrels had eaten some of the rubber. I love squirrels and I still love raccoons. Okay, but and yes, and anyway, So the bottom line is that today we're going to be out of our house for at least 3 weeks. They're taking up all the bamboo flooring, all the flooring in my it's just everything is a mess. All the
Content.
books had to come out. We had to move all the furniture that we had in those 2 rooms into a pod. And I've not been sleeping because we've had these big dehumidifiers and these big fans on all night. And so I thought, well, there was a part of me, Judy, I gotta admit, a part of me says, well, maybe this is just too much. I'm tired. My body aches, my back aches. I've been moving all these heavy boxes. And it's just like, I thought, no, 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 no.
Oh, because you've been trained. A part of
A
you.
part of me. And I know that there's a power in me, Judy, like there is in all of us. And I have to remind myself of this. There's a power in me that's greater than my circumstances and my facts and my conditions. The gratitude and the appreciation I have is that I was able to make it here on time to this new beautiful place that we're going to be staying at. And the synchronicity. I love the house that we're going to be staying at. It's got the ocean is within a 5 or 10 minute walk, literally. They've got a little lake in the front, and there's something. It's a sacred space. It's like a sanctuary, a refuge. So I look at this and say, oh, and the gratitude and the appreciation. But there's one last piece. When I look at the good that comes from this, Judy, part of my vision has been for a long time is to been to declutter.
That's
So
not funny.
no, it
Oh,
is. No, no, Judy, it is funny because the divine got tired of waiting for me to declutter. It's helping, it's helping me along. I went through, man, no, it's like let's end it on that. Like there's a seed of good in every adversity. Look, I said that's my teacher. There's a seed of good in every adversity.
that's my story. I'm sticking to
And
it.
I'm sticking to it. There's a seed of no, like look at that.
If I went
Oh,
through,
wait, wait,
I
wait, wait,
have
Judy, just
on
wait,
my
wait, wait,
little.
wait, 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 just
Oh,
last.
go, go, go.
It just so I got it because it just so happens that our friends, dear friends, really close with, they just happened, they offered us to stay at their house, and they're not even here. They just happened to go out of town to where they are yesterday, and so they're going to be gone for at least maybe well for 2 months. And so it may take us 3 or 4 weeks. I thought maybe just a week, and Stuart looks at me and says, mm-mm. I said, 2 weeks? Mm-mm. 3 weeks? Mm-mm. So the concern that our friends have is that they're going to come back at the end of September and we're going to still be here. Because it's such a great place to be. Anyway, thank you for letting
No,
me finish that
no,
because
I wanted to just, and then we'll wrap up it because what you just did is you demonstrated the there's a 5 steps. I'm going to go through the 5 steps that you just demonstrated when you're in a challenge, when you're in curriculum. And the first step was acknowledge the challenge. In other words, we're not bypassing it, you acknowledge it,
we're not
right?
doing a spiritual bypass. Yes, that's
Yes.
right.
Okay. Number one. The second one is neutralize the challenge. We're going to neutralize it. It's not good or bad. That sometimes takes a lot of practice. And then the third step is finding the possible good. And I love that you said decluttering. Okay. And then activating the good. In other words, your mind wants to go back and complain and whatever and go, wait a minute, that's step 4, activating the good. And I see as a good is that you are in their house and they wanted to have somebody at house sit, right?
Well, I
Whatever.
don't know about the house sitting part, but I'm just grateful that they happen to be.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the synchronicity, like the divine couldn't have orchestrated this any, but I cannot imagine having to live in a hotel
Oh no, no, no,
with our cats
with your cats. You're a
and no
cat.
kitchen. Like, no.
No, I know we're blessed with cats. So the fourth step is activating the good, and the very most important is step 5. Um, keep calm and grateful.
Hmm.
Finding the gratitude in everything. Sometimes when my kids call me up and they with whatever's going on, there's always content, right? They know what I'm going to say. What are you grateful for? Like, Mom, you haven't
And
been
mom.
listening. Well, my my daughter Julie, she goes, because before you go to sleep and stuff, okay, we're gonna do gratitudes, and she would
Mm.
fight. But now, as she's a mom with my grandson who's 20 now, and my
Wow.
granddaughter's 10, um, she calls up with her gratitudes in the middle of content, like the washing machine broke. Oh, I'm grateful that I even had a washing machine. There's a laundromat down the way. Good job, Mom. And that it's an appreciation for whatever content. Sometimes, and I'm watching. You and I could go on forever, but that content, um, where I get into my paradigms is your content is worse than my content, so I shouldn't even feel bad. And then I love the fact that we say in here, everybody's feelings are the way you feel. And it's not for me to compare my life or my content with yours. So I'll go find somebody with worse content so that I could feel good. That's not what we're doing here. We're allowing
Mm-mm.
ourselves the feeling tones, the feeling.
Because you can't heal what you don't feel.
Yeah.
And I remember comparing my loss with other people's loss and thinking, my God, they had it even worse than I did. And then I would feel guilty about that. Like, I mean, how, right? Like how do we do that? So when you talk about the content, we're talking about our life, right? We're talking about our life as it exists in the moment. Like that's the content. That's where we're at. That's what you mean, what we mean, right? When we talk about our content, my life right now. This is like I'm reading this page in this book. I'm gonna turn the page, but but we like to like go forward or to go back and like reread the same old, because we're not our history. But I love how you're phrasing it. This is my content. This is just what it looks like. Well, and I love that. This is just what it looks like. Well, it's all coming together.
Well, so let me ask you one final question. Take a deep breath in. This has been stellar, especially, just our connection. And I would love to ask you, what would you love our community, of which you are part of, to hold for you right now? To hold for you, what would you love, Donusia? You can, for the next week, for the next month, or whatever. What would you love? And we'll hold it and send your in.
Mm. Well, first of all, I would love for everybody to pray that the squirrels and the raccoons stay away from the rubber on my roof. If they could like just energetically like create a little barrier, let them go someplace else. So that's on the outside. But on the inside, what just for the patience and the grace to go through this time of, of being out of the house and reorganizing my life, just so that it be filled with abundance and prosperity, and that I am able, and that I go through it with grace and with ease. So if the community could hold that grace and ease blessing for me, so that I have the patience, uh, uh, and do the work that I'm here to do in the highest and best way to benefit. So today's just an opportunity, right? For the opportunities and challenges that come my way. But thank you so much for asking that and for asking the community to hold that for me, because it means a lot. And I know the power of energy and that we're all connected.
All right, you got it. So
Thank you,
this is
Judy.
where we go side by side. Oh, you're the receiver, so you open your arms. Well, yeah. All right. So here's that energy with grace and ease,
Mm.
knowing that this is content that you will be another signature story coming out of this. uh,
Living my life with grace and ease, which is the name of my coaching business. Grace and ease.
it is. And we're putting blessings on the squirrels that they find something else to chew.
And the
And,
raccoons.
and raccoons.
Please, we don't know which one it is.
Okay, we love them all.
We do.
Well, okay, well, here we go. There's the energy going whoosh.
Mm. Received in appreciation and in gratitude, Judy. This has
Amen.
been delightful to have this time with you. And beautiful, with your beautiful Crested Butte, Colorado background, because I lived in Evergreen, Colorado,
Amen.
so many years. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. Yeah. And we know that that power within you is touching many, many people
Mm.
right here, right now, and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.